So Leo Messi is a Ballon d'Or winner once again. How do you feel? Do you care?
No, not really. I'd care if my name was Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah, absolutely. That man has been
Otherwise,
Rob Lewandowski. Because I don't know if you can judge it over 2 years because it's supposed to be the last calendar year, but he's still been absolutely quality. And really, do you know, like when they give like lifetime awards for things, or not the same thing, but they honor someone that wasn't able to be honored in a previous way. They've done it with like player of the year, haven't they, over here, where I think Gerrard got a certain player of the year towards the end of his career, even though he wasn't that year, just for like what he'd done. But I think it was Gerrard. It could be Gerrard or Lampard. I think Gerrard. I think Lampard probably got one off the back of a season at some point.
Yeah, and he actually won the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. He actually won things in domestically. So, I mean, they should probably give it. Yeah, they should give it to Lewandowski. Also, big shout out to the crazy placing of Jorginho, but everyone's been going mad for him anyway. So it's
Where
not
did he end up?
outrageous. Third
Third
best player in the world. And I don't even know if I think he's the best midfielder at Chelsea. And he's definitely not the best midfielder in the Premier League. So, like, I mean, he won two of the biggest tournament trophies that were available last year, which is kind of the reason I think Messi is there, just for the Copa America win, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's massively influenced that decision.
Like, look, if you put Messi second to Lewandowski, no problem. But just Lewandowski definitely on a personal level had, for me, the more impressive 12 months period. And he's just continued. So, yeah, a bit of a weird one. Personally, don't care. There's a couple of weird placings though, where I thought Kante getting in 5th. Again, I just thought, I don't know. I think there are players that have been better in the last year.
Yeah, I think I only remember 2 others in the top 10. That was Mbappe 9th and Cristiano Ronaldo 6th, I believe.
Yeah, which, I mean, for what he did at Juventus, kind of makes sense because it's.
I'd say it's fair.
Yeah, I think he's there because he's been there before and won it before. So it's
And
not
he's still scoring a shit ton of goals.
Yeah, he still outscored Lukaku, didn't he, last season? I think so. Yeah, fine. I don't actually care, to be fair. De Bruyne placing 8th, I thought was a bit of a token nod to the fact that we had a really, really good season, because I think he was injured for a large period of last year. That's why Gundogan played so many games, and he was injured again this year. So he's probably missed like 5-6 months of football.
Yeah.
So a bit of a token nod. I thought Salah in 7th maybe was unfortunate, but there is a bit there. You can't be too biased recently, and last season he didn't necessarily. He still had a good season, by any standard. He had a good season last year, but Liverpool.
He was the only one of that front 3 that could kind of hold
exactly.
his head up.
And I think there is team bias there. So yeah, we don't need to really go into too much more than that. Apart from Donnarumma, best keeper. I don't even know if. I get that he's meant to be an amazing keeper, but I don't see it.
Well, Navas keeps him out the net, literally.
Yeah, I literally, the games I haven't seen him play for PSG, and I've watched a few this year. But when I've watched him play internationally, he's a good keeper. He's a good keeper, no doubt about it. And he's commanding. But best in the world? I don't know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alexia Putellas for Barca winning the Women's Ballon d'Or, and Chelsea winning the Club of the Year for their Champions League and Women's Super League victory. And then I think the only other one would be Pedri won European Golden Boy and the Copper Trophy, which is European Golden Boy is just best young player in Europe. Copper is in the world, but it's also just still all European players. But Greenwood, 5th on that list, best young player in Europe last year.
Yeah, not bad. He didn't have it wasn't an amazing season for him last season. But he'll only get better. Not bad at that, really.
I think Bellingham was second to Pedri, and that to me is quite fair because he's had a massive year.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can dispute Pedri, really.
No, he's
Not
brilliant.
at his age as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that's the award ceremony. Just doesn't really carry the same level it did a couple of years back. I think there's just too many maybe token nods in there for people with status, but whatever. I don't really want to break down all the games individually because there's just been so many since we last spoke about them. Just kind of wanted to ask you how you feel. One of the parallels I want to draw is with Ralf coming in. I look at the way that Tuchel took over from Lampard last year. And in that first game he played against Wolves, even though they weren't particularly good, you could see his ideas implemented quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then it didn't take long before you saw Chelsea playing in those patterns and eventually growing really strongly towards the end of the season. They were really strong at the end of last season. So it's hard, but it is hard to tell early on. Sometimes it takes some managers a little bit longer to implement the ideas. And I think you, as a team, were further away from where you should be than what Chelsea were under Lampard. Yes, Tuchel improved them drastically, but they weren't. Yeah, they had a little bit of a bad run of form, but they weren't like as much disarray, let's say, around the club as well as the team.
Chelsea weren't getting
Ralf has
turned
got a
over.
bigger job on his hands than what Tuchel had last year. So I think you've got to give the guy a lot of leeway. But I just wondered how you feel it's the transition has gone with him coming in.
Well, I think if you're a level-headed United fan, you weren't going to get instant results. Obviously, with the Skeggen press, we saw Clough kind of take years to get the players into that mindset, into that system. But obviously, I think Ralf, well, it's not obviously, well, yeah, I guess, but Ralf has better players at his disposal straight away than Clough had when he originally came in.
By a million miles. By a million miles. Like,
yeah.
If we were to look at the list of players that were at the club when Klopp arrived, like there's some terrible 11s out there from when he first joined, from what he had to deal with when he arrived.
Yeah, but I remember watching the first half against Palace, and especially the first 30 minutes. And it was almost kind of too good to be true because you could see they were organised, and our press was so much more efficient. I was kind of taken aback by that, but also you think you look at you kind of play devil's advocate with yourself, and maybe these players, if they want to keep their place in the team, then you're going to have to do what he says. So maybe they actually tried. Not saying players weren't trying under Ole, but I think the morale was on the floor. But like I said, in the first 30 minutes, the difference was like night and day for me. I did mention to you before, first half we looked infinitely better, and then second half we kind of reverted to type. So Palace had a few more chances. We were a bit sloppy play, struggling to break down like a low block kind of thing. And then kind of the same in the subsequent matches. But again, hell of a lot more organised. I'm quite hopeful we'll finish the season strongly. I hope he can have like like the effect that Tuchel had on Chelsea, like you mentioned, quite quickly. But that's just the dream. If we get top four, you got to look at where we are now. It would be an achievement, which is kind of like an Endeavour trophy. Well done for trying. I'm hoping he takes us a bit further in the Champions League. Because shout out to Michael Carrick for his results in the Champions League group, especially that Villarreal game. And
more
the Chelsea
Champions League knockout tournament qualifications than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Instant impact.
Yeah, what a managerial career.
Yeah. Get the hell out of Dodge while you're on top.
How many Carrick has achieved more? No, I can't even say that. I can't even say that jokingly. Because there's a bit of a narrative around Ralf, isn't there, and not winning trophies, and I kind of hate it because
I think
trophies are not always the measure of a man, especially when you look at the clubs they take. You can't look at Sam Allardyce and say like, how many trophies did that guy win? You have to assess his career on how many teams he stabilised that were relegation fodder, or how many teams he got promoted. That's the measuring stick for a manager like that.
Absolutely.
For Pep, it's different. For Klopp, it's different. For Tuchel, it's different. And I understand that because Ralf has now taken on the United job, that's why that question is asked. But you can't ask that question yet, and you also can't ask it after 6 months because you're not. You would kill for an FA Cup or a League Cup, wouldn't you? You'd kill for any trophy under Ralf to kind of hand over the reins with some real momentum, like this team can win stuff. But also, it has to be tempered with the fact that fourth isn't like fourth is well within your grasp, but you have to really have to focus on it over the next your next 5 or 6 fixtures are actually
Quite
quality.
kind.
You've got the best running of anyone, I think.
I think our next
crazy.
I think our next top 3 game is you in March.
Well, bloody hell. Well, you've got Norwich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle, Burnley are your next 5.
Yeah.
Like you'd expect 13 or 15 points from that.
Yeah, definitely.
The only difficulty coming against Brentford, because those guys might actually cause you some problems. But I don't expect any of the rest to.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of asked for a kind of fixture list, really.
Yeah, and you need it, I think, to ease in, because those games will. They're not easy games in the sense that you're going to show up and win because you showed before that your team can't do that. But they're games that will teach your team to be solid and be secure, at least from how I view City. Like when we want to be really progressive against teams with like defend with 8 at the back and then put 2 really fast players up top. Or someone who can really hold the ball up like a Tony. And Burnley just seem to be able to create chances out of nothing against big teams for whatever reason. Like against those teams, you're going to have to really be organised, and that's going to be really important. But I think if you can get through those games and be organised, that's going to do wonders for you rather than if you had games against. I mean, Norwich tried to play football, so that'll be a bit different. Like they actually tried to play football and just leave themselves utterly exposed.
Yeah.
Like there should be a game that you should smash them and get a lot of confidence from smashing Norwich up like 4-5-6-0.
Yeah.
Like even if you concede a couple, like it doesn't matter, just go out and fucking smash them. That's I think really important for you guys to get some confidence, get some people scoring, get some good form going up top, and then just Ralf will work on the structure and organisation. But yeah, do you think fourth then? Do you think fourth is well within your sight? Do you think it'll be a struggle? Because obviously West Ham, I mean the Spurs are there and they've got a game in hand because obviously they've been rid of COVID. But
I'm actually every time I look at the table, I am amazed because I must think, well, Spurs and Arsenal are above us. And I think, how? I honestly think how, and then I look back like, oh yeah, because we've been terrible. So I think it's definitely up for grabs. I think I haven't seen enough of Spurs under Conte to think, oh yeah, they'll kick on now. I still think they're a bit, they're stuttering a bit. Kane isn't firing yet. If he does begin to fire and start getting the goals in, then maybe Arsenal will tail off. They always do. West Ham, yeah, I think they're the only kind of obstacle to overcome there. Although their away form is, what they lost the last 2 away games. I think
they've had a few games where they struggled.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't dispatch Zagreb midweek. I think they lost 1-0. I thought that was a bit of a poor result for them, but I didn't see the team lineup, so it might have been a weak team. You know what I mean? But
maybe. I mean, I think quite a few of us did fairly poorly in the European competitions this last week. So I don't know if well, for our game, I think there was a real impact on the lack of fans. On me,
horrible, mate.
I can't say for the players it was, but to watch that City game was just so tough, especially because we were poor. But the crowd, lack of.
I said to him, I was immediately outraged when I switched it on. I was like, oh god, horrible pin drop.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get it. That's. I'd rather that, obviously. I'd rather have no fans than there be any risk, and especially because Germany's in such a bad position. But just from a very selfish perspective of viewership, it was hard to watch. Whereas in the summer, I think I was just so thankful to have some kind of football back that I didn't care, and I got really used to it.
Yeah.
Like I was absolutely fine with the commentators, just like you could hear all the players on the pitch talking, and they just
Yeah, it's
commentating that. Like,
it's
it was
something
actually
new,
kind of
and
cool.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even and it was just so good to have some kind of football back. Now it's a bit like we've been spoiled with it all being back, and now we've got to all kind of be careful again. But hopefully that doesn't transfer into the Premier League. I'd rather just have a winter break and have some catch-up point or whatever. And
that'll be
if
hard with
possible,
Qatar next year, mate. No. Imagine players
I'd just
done
fuck it off. Honestly, I'd just fuck it off.
It's a joke, isn't it?
If I was the Premier League, I would probably ban any player under the Premier League from going to Qatar. I know. I think there's some serious, and I don't just mean because of the timing. I think there's serious issues, and you can call me a hypocrite in a way because of like the City Group. Oh, they've got all their money, but I'd support the club with or without them. I'm not gonna, I accept that side of it. But with Qatar, there's an option. You don't have to go there, and the players don't have to go to City, but they don't go there for that. They go there for the footballing reasons, don't they? So, but Qatar, it's really for me it's a really difficult one to understand why you would allow it to go on. Like because you've created a tournament that requires slave labor to make the tournament happen. Not only is the civil serious, and I don't want to get political on fucking footballing podcast, but I think it's difficult to talk about Qatar really because I wouldn't want to be part of it personally. Going somewhere where they still kill gay people.
Yeah, it's people literally died making these stadiums. Yeah,
literally, it's just I don't know. It feels weird. And the thing is that we'll see it on TV and it'll look beautiful and we'll forget probably because some of the concepts I've seen for the stadiums, if you look at it just from an architectural standpoint, are stunning. Like the lake around, and you have to go over there's a moat around the stadium basically, and it's like you have to go over on boats and all that. I don't know if they cancelled that idea, but I remember seeing that concept art and thinking like, Jesus Christ, fair play. That's kind of beautiful.
I haven't seen that.
Anyway,
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, fuck Qatar. And really, if I'm gonna for this hosting, look, people from there, you live your life, you crack on, but just the powers that be, whatever. I'm gonna stop talking about it because I'm just looking at some of the pictures of the stadiums and I'm like, Jesus Christ, they're actually stunning. Some of the architecture there. So Man United, top 4, yeah.
Top 4, hopefully. Yeah, and a good run in Champions League. It's the draws on Monday, I believe.
Correct.
I think
you were correctly informed.
Did you topped your group, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm not being sarcastic.
12 points. Sorry, 12th.
I think
it's 12th in a group of 4.
I think Chelsea were the only English team not to top their group, I believe, and that is big because I'm taking what I can get.
They can get used to not finishing first because I've changed my attitude on Chelsea.
I think we broke them. I think that 1-0. I think we got in their head. I don't know.
Do you think?
No.
I think Tommy's slowly been crumbling since we beat him 1-0.
Wow.
I think he has. I think in certain tactical. I mean, I'm being kind of using hyperbole to make a point, but I do think that since we beat him, there's been a few times where I've seen Tactical Tommy, as I've heard him named on another podcast I watch about football, Tuchel have moments where he tinkers with things. Like Hudson-Odoi is really exciting in certain games, but sometimes he just doesn't make the right decisions. And I thought, like the Zenit game, they was really, really flat. Jorginho's having an absolute stinker just around the time he gets the Ballon d'Or, 3rd place. 2 mistakes now leading to goals, and look, that can happen. But And it's more the goalkeeper probably for the pen. Who was that against? West Ham.
West Ham.
That game was so good.
That was a great game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that just to segue before we go into City, like that game was actually fantastic, and I really enjoyed watching that. I'm so happy that West Ham won, and I think when we talk about West Ham finishing fourth or whatever, or being like a contender now, I do think a lot of that is just well wishing, because I kind of like the narrative and the story around them, don't you?
They seem to.
Or do you not? Because they're fourth.
No. I'm absolutely not like that.
Yeah, I know.
No, I do kind of, what, if we weren't clutching for that fourth spot, I'd be wishing them well. If we were third, I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, if you were solidly third or second, and there was no
Yeah.
conversation about them taking your spot, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like when we were wishing Leicester to prize Liverpool out of the top four spot.
Yeah.
It was last season or the season before?
Absolutely, both. I think it was last season, because the season before Liverpool was second, weren't they?
Oh yeah, it's because they had their injury season, didn't they?
No, sorry, the season before they won. What am I on about? It was the season before that they were second. We were second, maybe. I can't remember. We had a really bad week. Yeah, did we get? God, I can't remember. I can't remember the points totals, man. There's just too many just too many games. Too many games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I almost went to sing that, and I was like, oh, would we get told off? Can't get monetized, as if we're even close. Yeah, so I like West Ham. I think Chelsea will now look. They'll still be there. They're not going to go away, but they're going to start to drop off every now and then. I think, even though they do have, if I remember correctly, a pretty favourable December. Yeah, like Leeds, Everton, Wolves, Brentford, Villa, Brighton. Like, you expect 5 or 6 wins there, so that's pretty kind.
Yeah, although I was thinking about it before, I'm sure they've got quite bad like central midfield injury problems, and obviously Chilwell's out for a couple of weeks now.
Well, Saul played the other night, didn't he? He's
and
barely
Loftus-Cheek
featured.
playing a lot.
And Loftus-Cheek's played a lot of games, yeah.
And Lukaku's come back and done absolutely nothing. So
yeah, it does take a little bit, though. I think, give him a bit of leeway.
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit spiteful there, but maybe I just don't want Chelsea to do well.
Yeah, who does?
Yeah. What did you want to talk about?
Everything. No, just quickly, did you know that Real Madrid are apparently monitoring for Ronaldo? Which just seems.
I think they've got 3 transfer targets, and I'm worried because I think they'll get Mbappe and Pogba on a free, and then they'll sign Haaland. I'm going to tell them right now that isn't going to solve their problems.
It's not going to solve the problems at all. It'll get them a league title, maybe, because they'll just outscore people with that. But it's the same issue. Well, it's actually worse than the issue at PSG, because PSG have probably only got 1 or 2 players that are out that just don't really contribute enough, and it would be your 2 attackers like Messi and Neymar. Like they're almost the problem, but because they're so good, it's hard to look at them as a problem. Like if you just put functional wingers in that team and just Mbappe up top, I think that they would be way better. Like as a team. Like you look at the way Liverpool play in order to facilitate their front 3, but PSG just don't have that midfield like at all.
No, and they've even said they'll let Wijnaldum leave in January on loan.
Really?
Yeah.
Who actually would be a really good option for you in that midfield?
Hey, Newcastle will be snapping him up, I'm telling you.
When was he there?
Before he signed for Liverpool, so it must have been like, oof. It must have been about 8 years ago.
It's a Sissoko period of time. It feels like that era of Newcastle.
Yeah.
When the Amiobis were there. Cisse and Bar.
God, yeah. Yeah, it might have been,
Yeah, that rings a bell. Colaccini would have been their centre back.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Newcastle. Well, was that would have been Pardew then, I imagine?
They had a few.
No,
shitters,
Pardew was a bit
shall we
later
say.
because I think Pardew was at Newcastle when he was having a go at Pellegrini. Or was it
I
Palace?
remember that. Calling him an old see you next
No cunt,
Tuesday.
yeah.
I went straight down the middle, but yeah, you go for the
sorry.
jugular.
No, go straight there, yeah.
Absolutely fine.
Land the killer blow.
We're all adults here, maybe.
Well, we actually can't guarantee that at all. Like, there's
No,
no
exactly. That's why I
law,
said
is
there
there?
may be the
Are you
listeners
18
are
or
going to
over?
hold you.
Yeah. Do we need to put like an explicit content warning at the start? Can you like?
I mean, I will for this episode now.
Just like just put the Marshall Mathers LP image on the front.
I'll ask him. I'll run it by him.
I imagine that's free for use material.
Yeah, he does claim to not give a fuck. So
on that album, or was that on? Yeah, that's that album, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Not the Slim Shady EP. I think it is.
Oh well, we'll see.
That's why they call me. City have had a little stumble in the Champions League, but overall, we're absolutely destroying teams. Even the 2-1 against West Ham, when they managed to get a goal at the end, I just thought they were so far off it for the vast majority. Like, they just didn't get enough chances to really do anything. Was it Fornals, I think, scored? It was a great goal. It was a great hit. But they've just been choked out of the game, and that's how we're playing. Yes, there's a little bit of a concern when Nathan Ake plays, as I tell you every single time he's in the starting lineup. And it'll be interesting how we respond tomorrow, because we're in the 12:30 kickoff. How we respond tomorrow against Wolves, I think, will tell more, because there were times last year where we lost games and it spurred us on to drive into a different gear and to just keep picking up wins. And I think that happens with the best teams. I think United made a career out of it, of losing a game and then boom, we're going to come back hard and like get 10 games. I think City and Liverpool have taken that to the next level, because now there's runs of like 16, 17, 18 games, isn't there, where just unstoppable.
Yeah.
And usually around this period of the year. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how we respond against Wolves, who are traditionally a very difficult side for us.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
You'd assume so, but they have been playing better recently. Jimenez has got a lot more confidence now, hasn't he? Adama Traore, despite being one of the most overrated players ever, seems to always perform against us, seems to pull something out of the bag.
I mean, he'll have his one or two mazy runs, you know.
Yeah, I hate it, because it seems to work against us. It's really frustrating. But no, I think we'll be fine. I actually think this is the part of the season where we actually, really do start kicking into gear and just picking up point after point, just winning. Well, not point after point, 3 points after 3 points every week. And I think that will then put a bit of pressure on Chelsea, because I think Liverpool will be fine in this period. Salah's just... He doesn't seem to stop. He doesn't seem to stop. It's like, do you remember prime Messi, Barca, from, let's say, 2007, 2014? You could tune in any week and Messi would score. Any game, you could just pick a game and he would score.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's Salah at the moment. Well, maybe not score, because he doesn't score every game, but do something to impact the game.
Yeah,
he scores nearly every game. Yeah. Or like he'll be the one that is like 3 of their opposition are marking him, so someone else is free. Like, because he's such a threat, like people have to double up and triple up on him. I remember the Watford goal where there's like 4 or 5 of them around him and he just does them all. And there's 3 on one side, 2 to the other side, and then the keeper.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Day.
He did it to Laporte and Diaz early in the season. He did it to plenty of people.
Yeah, there's no shame in it.
Mm.
Egyptian king.
He's a very, very good player. So I think that Liverpool will maintain the pace because Mane is also playing really well and Origi's contributing, as he seems to always do. Really important goals when he comes off the bench.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just run this by you quickly. I was listening to Talk Shite, and there was callers coming in and saying, and the question was put to the general public then, are City boring to watch? Because they were saying how you kind of, choke teams out. You'll play it along the back into the midfield, and if it doesn't quite work, you'll just recycle it back, and yada yada. And they were saying, you get your 2-0s for City, and it's just a bit boring because the teams just sit back and don't really do anything. And I was like, this might be the load of rubbish, the biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. Because Andy Goldstein agreed. I agreed with him. He said, well, you're a joy to watch, which you are. I was like, that's not City's fault. You can only play what's in front of you. That's obviously a cliche, but it's true. Like what you're supposed to do. If United choke teams, if we played up to City and Liverpool's level, you lean more towards Liverpool's kind of gung ho 4-5-0 approach. But with City's, it's like echoes of Barca, isn't it? Really, that team, the Pep. So I remember losing to those Pep teams, and I was like, "Fucking hell, imagine playing like this! Just absolutely outrageous." So I'm just running it past you, see what you think.
I don't think that we or anyone will reach the level that Barca reached, but we probably smother teams more than that Barca team did. Weirdly, we just don't have the same level of player in each position that they had. But what we do have is almost every player that plays can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's about 22, 23 that can just come in and play that way. And yeah, they're not all top quality that will influence the game, but they all hold the ball. They're all pretty secure with it, and they move it on and they fit in, and you don't see them. Maybe Nathan Ake aside, but it's a weird one with him because even though we concede loads when he plays, it's not often him that makes a mistake. It's just someone else makes a mistake around him.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's take Priyanka and De Bruyne at City. Would he get into that Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets? Into that 3? Does he replace him? I don't think he does. I'm just thinking off my head now. I'm just going on a tangent there.
I don't think so, but I think that the same thing happened to Yaya. There is it's hard to say because obviously Xavi and Iniesta, at least as far as Iniesta for me is my favourite ever player. So I'm just going to say that before I even get into comparing Yaya, De Bruyne, and then Xavi and Iniesta, like the best midfield duo I can possibly think of. I can't think of any better midfield duo in terms of technical prowess. Maybe there's more iconic ones. Maybe there's like more biased ones that we want to lean towards. Because for me, De Bruyne Silva was an absolute joy. But Iniesta Xavi is the one, isn't it? Really, when I think of a two that just were together for so long and won everything together, both for Spain and Barcelona, and it's really hard for me to look past them. You can maybe see your Rijkaards and Hullets for Netherlands and stuff like that, but I didn't really watch them. So if I was to compare De Bruyne, the issue with De Bruyne and Yaya is that they would impact on the front players too much. Like Xavi and Iniesta was so ingrained in that philosophy that they would always do the right thing. That seems weird to say, but they've been doing that style and working that exact same way since they were like 6 or 7 or whatever, whenever they joined La Masia.
Yeah.
If you then put a Yaya or a De Bruyne in there, yes, they're phenomenal players, but as you saw with Zlatan, if you aren't exactly that style, then I don't think you play. And I think that the Pep philosophy at City is different because Gundogan doesn't play like a Xavi. He doesn't play like a B-Tech Xavi. That's really offensive to Gundogan, but he doesn't play like that. That's not his role. He roams up and down. He plays a little bit more dynamically. In the same way, Rodri does not play like Sergio Busquets. Neither does Fernandinho play like Sergio Busquets, and nor are they asked to. So it's different. It's hard to say. I don't think anyone gets into that midfield ahead of those two, though. I don't think there is a better fit for that team than what they had. Maybe you could argue that they could have had a better left back at times. Maybe you could upgrade on Pedro, but Pedro is quality in that side.
Yeah.
Absolute quality. Their bench wasn't that good, just from the basis of the fact that a bench wouldn't play. Like your Teos and your whoever, all them wingers they had around that time. I can't remember them all. They were all fast.
Yeah.
Alex Ceballos, I don't know. Bloody loads of them. You might have been later.
I was going to say as well, there's I was going to bring up the player that is Jack Grealish. He's come back into the side a bit now, hasn't he?
Yep.
So, just what are your thoughts on Jack? How he's performing?
So sorry, I actually didn't answer your original question, which was, I said it's boring to watch.
No, go on then.
No, I don't think they're boring to watch. Most of the time, like when we win 4 or 5, which isn't as often this year, but when we do, that's really exciting and people love it. And we dominate and score great goals and great team goals that look great, and there's more moments. The thing is, when it's a 1-0 or a 2-0, because we don't actually give the opposition any opportunities, there's not enough moments for the casual fan. That's all it is, I think. There's not enough highlights.
I agree.
And we don't take pot shots. We don't just have shots for the sake of it and, whipping it in because we don't have tall players. So we're just going to keep playing until we see an opportunity and then try and take it.
No, exactly. And I'd kind of tell those people to go and watch the PSG game, the last PSG game. That's what the answer is.
Yeah, I think the Liverpool and the Chelsea games as well early in the season. I think those are fantastic games. That Liverpool game was fantastic because they're a side that can actually hang with us and create a great game. But then when the opposition can't offer that, it shouldn't make it a poor game just because the opposition aren't good enough. Like, I don't think watching Floyd Mayweather is boring because people can't hit him. I think it's better because it's like, holy shit, this guy just can't. Like, this guy's incredible. And so you're then watching the next one to see him beat you, watching the next one and he doesn't get beaten. You're like, God damn it, someone's going to beat this guy. Like, what the hell? And so I imagine there's a bit of that. Maybe not as much because I don't think City held. It's different with football clubs than it is with like iconic boxers, but City aren't held as. There's still a lot of stigma around City, around the casual fan. Like everyone accepts United are a big club, no matter what banter you're doing, everyone accepts it. People begrudgingly accept that Arsenal are a big club and that Chelsea are becoming a big club and all that. City, it's not really. People will often make the distinction that we're a very good team, not a big club. Which whatever, I actually don't care. I think on the global scale we are, but that it'll take another 10 years before you see that because people only probably started buying our shirts like 6-7 years ago. Like, so, it takes a bit for those kids to get into older men and then raise their kids as City fans, and then it just expands across the world. Like, look at what happened to United and to Arsenal and the teams that were successful in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like I said,
overall,
I thought it was sorry. And like I just said, I thought it was an outrageous accusation, but
yeah, I don't think they're boring. The other thing was, what did you say after that? You asked me.
Just how you think Jack's doing.
Jack, I like him in the false 9 role. I quite like that. I think you mentioned it the other day when we were talking about the game. You don't like him on the left. Who was he against? He was against Villa. God, that seems so long ago. Yeah, when he played against Villa, like he was doing really well against Mike Ash, but he just lacks that extra bit of pace to be able to like breeze past a man. He sometimes recycles it too much, and he's good at holding on to it. But we didn't pay 100 million for someone who can hold on to a ball well. We've got loads of those. Cole Palmer can hold on to a ball well. Like, you've got to do something more. So I'm not disappointed with his output. I don't think he. You know what? Over the last couple of games, he should definitely got more goals. He had so many chances in the last few games.
Yeah, especially against, was it Watford?
Yeah, loads of chances. Hit the bar, just hit defenders and stuff like that. Like I thought he had a really good game. Yeah, I like him in the centre forward role. I think he's suited there more than the left.
See, I thought Foden performs better in the 9.
I think Foden's better on the left.
He's
Just unfortunate because if you I mean, for him, I think he's better on the left. Like, which game was it where Sterling just kept having shots after shot after shot, and I was just thinking, Foden's just been free all game. Foden is just playing Dani Alves, left side of Dani Alves. He's just constantly in space, and Sterling just kept shooting. I can't remember which game it was.
Not sure which game that is, but
I can't remember. It was either Villa or West Ham. But either way, I just kept thinking, it's when Foden had a shot and hit the post. Which actually he did more recently, but yeah, it's when he.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I didn't watch the Villa game, but like I said, because I got that text from you saying Bernado full caps.
Which let's be perfectly crystal clear. Put your Mason Mount goal in the fucking bin. When it comes around the same time as that goal, like, put a bit of respect on this guy. Like that. I made I can't remember who I was talking to, someone at work, I think, and I was just saying, okay, I accept that Salah is the best player in the Premier League at the moment. And I accept that the player I'm going to say will not be viewed in the same class as the guy by a lot of people because he's not a goal. He scores goals, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He's not like
he's got 9 this season.
Same style. Yeah, he's got 9, which is kind of ridiculous. But he's only got like 1 assist or something, whereas Salah's got like 22 goals overall in all competitions and 9 assists. You know, so Salah's got as many assists as Buddy Bernardo's got goals. But put your bias to strikers or to players, because I know Salah's not really a striker, even though he is their main goal output. So it's hard to argue he's not the striker. He just doesn't play there. They facilitate him to score the goals, though. That's how it is. Put away your bias for people scoring goals and getting assists, and just look at the influence that a person has over a team, the way that they dictate the play. Because I didn't think Bernardo could dictate games, and he doesn't always. Usually it's Kev or it's Gundogan. But when he does with his running and he sets the tempo for the press and he's constantly at people and he just leads the way with how good he is on the ball and how well he protects it. And I think you made a point a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, about his touch. And I think it is better than Mahrez's. I think it actually is, because Mahrez has a wonderful first touch and could just put balls out of the air. But Bernardo, the ball it's not the same level as Messi, but it's like that way of dribbling. It's like the ball just doesn't really leave his feet. It's like always an inch from his foot, just there.
Yeah.
And yet he's dribbling at what is for him high speed. And I think that even though Salah is clearly the best player in the league, I think there has to be a comment and a bit of conversation around just how phenomenal Bernado Silva has been this season.
Yeah, you made a good point about the tempo, like dictating play a bit more as well. But I think this year especially, he's become one of those players, and I'm just going to use the phrase bums off seats. Because, once Bernardo picks the ball up, in those kind of areas where he starts to make that kind of mazy run or plays that like intricate pass, you're like, holy shit, get up, because something's about to go down.
He bursts through the lines really well and just constantly looks like a threat.
Other players should take note, because players that throw his fits and want to leave the club, and how they conduct themselves and how they professionally approach the season in a place they don't particularly want to be. How he's kicked on this much, because it's not like he was a bad player. He wasn't playing well. He's a fantastic player, always has been since.
Yeah, he just had like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say a bad season. Just maybe 6 months, half a year where it just wasn't really working for him. He just wasn't at his best, and Mahrez was playing really, really well. Foden was playing really, really well. Ferran was getting game time and performing okay when he did play. Aguero was still there. Jesus was playing. It was hard for him to get into the side last year, but he's taken that midfield position, which it'll be interesting to see what happens when Kev comes back properly. Because when he came on and Silva had been on the right, Silva went then to the left. So it'll be interesting because I think Silva is more effective on the right when he's like over on that right wing with Mahrez. They work really well together, those two.
Yeah, 100%. Fair play to him. He's been incredible.
Yeah,
I remember being jealous as shit when you signed him 40 million as well. So.
a bit of a steal, yeah.
Definitely.
And I hope that he's played himself enough into Pep's plans that now he's happy because he'll be like, well, I'll get game time. Because that's the issue. I don't think that these players are unhappy to be at the club for the club's sake. I think it's just that there's so many good players there that if Bernardo, let's say, went to, I don't know, maybe not Bayern, but like, a big side, but not a top side, like he would play every week without fail.
He gets into the Juventus side, walks into that.
Does he play every week? Because they like their Italians. They'll really like. Is it Churchy? And then they've got Dybala, and they've got like loads of players, aren't they? That I think that. I don't know. Maybe he just plays for them every game in like the centre mid with Arta or whoever they're playing these days. But
I think any team would be lucky to have him.
Absolutely, I think he plays for any side. I just think that big sides have a lot of rotation, and yes, we probably have some of the most rotation.
Definitely.
Because Pep loves it.
Absolutely.
But he's played so much this year.
Fantasy football team.
Yeah, he does.
I was going to say, last thing on a City player is Sterling.
That's
I know he's kind of coming back into the fold a bit more. I have seen him play against Watford. I thought, oh yeah, he's played well. Back amongst the goals a bit, shall we say? Nothing incredible. But do you think this is the last time you'll see season you'll see Sterling in a City shirt?
That's a tough one because I really like him. Like, I think that as a guy and as what he represents, not just because of his skin color, but just because of like his stature in football as well as outside of football. Like this really good youngster that has managed to like really do well and plays really well for England and has been with us for quite like I feel like it was 2013 when he joined us. Feels like forever ago. I'm trying to think when I'm just actually checking now because it feels like he was 21, which might be 6 years ago. Actually, not 20. Look now. July 2015. Okay, so not 2013. Did I say 2013? 2014? I don't know. Anyway, 2015. 2015. Yeah, right. So he's been with us for 6 years.
Damn.
So this is his 7th season that he's just started with us. So, he's actually he's 27, so he's in his prime, really. I like him a lot, but I'm not going to pretend you couldn't get someone better. I really, really like him, but you definitely could get someone better than him. I don't know who that person is. But like, if I look at Liverpool's front three, they're all better than Sterling in terms of output. Jota, not Firmino. But then I don't want to disrespect Sterling because he is class. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think he goes to Barca, so I think it's more a case of like, where does he actually go? Who takes him on? Not that he wouldn't go there, but they'd need to have quite a bit of money, and the Spanish clubs are fucked. And Juventus are fucked, and Bayern, I don't think will buy him. So where does he go?
Where does he go? That's a good point. We'll see with that one, I guess. I think you struggle where to play him because I still, if I'm Pep, I'm like, Jack and Phil on the left. If Raheem's coming up to me and be like, oh yeah, I want to play on the left way, I'm like, you can't.
Yeah,
there's just no way.
He literally needs to. I don't know what he's worked on, but he should have worked himself into being a striker.
Mm.
Like not your traditional striker, obviously, because we don't play like that.
No.
But yeah, I feel like with Sterling, I don't feel I'll get the best of him ever again. That's what I'll say. I think the best of Sterling has been and gone with City. And we probably had that seasons 2 and 3 under Pep.
Yeah, wasn't he banging in like over 20 goals a season?
And they were really important goals. I mean, he's still like, I think last season, I don't think his goal output last season was terrible. 10 goals in the league. 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 goals in 49. It's not terrible for a left winger. It's okay. I mean, the years before were 31 and 25 and 23. So there was 3 years there where it was really good. So it dropped, but 14 is still not terrible. It's not as, it's not as good as his standard, given that he's already got 5 this year. Oh, he's got 5 in 20 games. So yeah, we're not going to get the 31 in 52 that we got, where he got 20 Premier League goals. Like he got 18 one year, then 17, then 20. So yeah.
I feel like Pep's got. No, it's not a dilemma, is it? Because obviously you perform so well, and it's very much a way you play rather than the personnel. I don't think it matters on the personnel that come in and play. I just think he's becoming one of those kind of, round peg in a square hole kind of thing.
There's people that are more intelligent than him football-wise in terms of on the ball. Like I think his off-the-ball movement is still fantastic. For the Cancelo whip round, like Sterling's movement onto that, as great as the ball is, his movement is equally incredible to break the lines at the exact right time. Because it's not his pace helps him get there, but it's not enough distance for his pace to be the only deciding factor. Like he's switched on to that ball coming way before any of the defenders are. And that's why he gets the goal, because his technique for the goal is quite shit. Like he scuffs it, so it looks great because he just hits it straight when it goes in, but the actual technique isn't great, isn't good.
See, I have a similar kind of thought with Rashford, because obviously he's so electric and he can produce moments of absolute magic, and he can fly past. At his best, he can absolutely fly past players and embarrass them. And then I think, more often than not, I heard this turn of phrase from him like as a cul-de-sac merchant, and his football intelligence hasn't got better in probably about 2 or 3 years. He's kind of been on like this steady kind of rise, but it hasn't kind of flourished into anything. I don't think he's like reached his peak whatsoever.
No, he's probably got another 3-4 years before you'd even know who his peak is.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I could say, you could get a better winger, you could get a more intelligent winger who would do better for the team as a collective in a game. Like I think of, because I think he's really underrated, but I look at Perisic and I think, you get a solid 8 out of 10 for Perisic, maybe even 7 out of 10, whatever. But I think he plays better to a team's standards rather than maybe Rashford. But Rashford obviously gives you something. Yeah, I think Rashford gives you something a bit more magical. But I think
Je ne sais quoi.
I think him and Sterling are quite alike. I think Sterling's football intelligence is better because of Pep.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I also think that Sterling has always been a better player than Rashford age for age. Like, compare Sterling at 17 and Rashford at 17. I think Sterling was a more exciting electric player, and that Rashford just was, because he was homegrown and it was really important for United and he scored really important goals, whereas I don't think Sterling, I remember him being really important in that 3, and being really young when he had it.
Yeah.
When he had that opportunity under Brendan. But I feel like Rashford was just made them a bit, like the more was made out of him because of this narrative around him. But I'm not sure he's ever had I don't think he's ever been better than Sterling. So I think you're right in saying you could get a better winger. Because Sancho, on the other hand, I think does have a higher ceiling than Sterling, like way higher in terms of goal threat anyway.
So yeah,
Not in terms
I
of
look at
running.
him.
Not in terms of running
Yeah.
in positional movement. I think Sterling is really, really good on that. If Sterling's finishing was as good as Sancho's, I think Sterling would maybe be one of the best wingers the Premier League's seen.
Yeah.
How many chances he creates is ridiculous. It's not even like I'd love to see and proper chances, not shots on goal, proper chances that he's fluffed. I feel like there must be 10 to 20 every single season. And if he halved that,
it's always a talking point, isn't it?
Always, like the obvious chances, the ones where he's like through and then he sometimes overthinks it and doesn't even take the shot. Like just take that shot.
Again, I always remember the one against Lille in Champions League. He went out. I always remember that one. The open goal over the bar. How?
Yeah. All the time. And so that's the problem. Whereas Rashford would not miss those if he got himself into that. Do you know what I mean?
No.
If he was in that position, he would score it. He just doesn't get himself into that position as much as Sterling does, age for age.
I would say though, Rashford has been playing. He's kind of come into a team. I won't say in disarray, but vastly inferior teams.
Fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah, can't disagree with that. I think maybe there's a good comparison to Sterling though when he was at Liverpool, because was that team like the front three was incredible, and there's a couple other good players.
Sturridge,
Was the team
Suarez,
overall? Sterling.
I'm thinking
Gerrard.
it's probably like Khan, Gerrard, Lucas, probably
Lucas
Daniel Agger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds about right, mate. Sounds about right, mate. And Alberto Moreno at left back, probably, or something like that.
Probably Simon Mignolet.
Didn't they get Glenn Johnson? Wasn't he hanging around that point still?
God knows who it was. Maybe, yeah, probably. I was going to say hip here, but that sounds ridiculous. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd only say that for Rashford. I think inferior teams he's come into, and we kind of had to carry a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. Literally had operations on his shoulders. So. But yeah, either way, I wish the best for the both. So
I think there'll be some interesting to round this off. Not to skip the season already, but I think there'll be some interesting changes at the end of the year. I think there'll be like, not that we need to revolutionise our squad, but there'll be a couple of positions that will need looking at. You'll be interesting because I think you need an overhaul. I don't think you need loads in.
No, I've actually
I just feel like you need a few out.
Yeah, just quickly say apparently there's rumors that Rangnick actually could have said this. I'm sure I read it somewhere, but he said this is very unlikely we'll have any arrivals, and considering he's the interim, he said he thinks the squad's quite bloated, so there'll be more likely outgoings.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. I think you can ship some people out, streamline the squad. And you've got some youngsters that have been around the bench recently. James Garner was he playing in Europe?
No, he's at Forest.
Is he on the bench? Is he? All right.
Oh. No, we had Charlie Savage came on.
That's sorry, and there was another one though. That's it.
Zidane Iqbal. Alanga played midweek against Young Boys. Diallo played midweek. I know he's not. Didn't come from our reserves, came from Atalanta, but I watched that game. I'm like, we played awful second half. We were just so sloppy. But I also think, 6 academy graduates on the pitch. It's not bad. Whatever.
I think those games are enjoyable just to see the next generation getting a chance, aren't they?
Yeah, there's some really good moments, but just maybe picking the wrong passes or stuff that will come in time. Definitely.
They do though. I think to compare it to our youngsters that have had a few chances this season, like Cole Palmer, for example, the main one that's had a couple of chances. His first game when he came on and he scored straight away in the Champions League, that was class. Like the way he took the finish was great. But then when he played a full game and he played it was you can just tell they're not quite at that same level, but it's still really good to see them. And they're only going to get. They're not all going to be Foden and Rashford debuts, Rooney debuts. They're not all going to be that. They're going to be. No. They'll take a little time. And yes, you want to see your attacking players get a goal straight away and have a really good debut, but I think you're definitely in the right hands now, and you're moving the right way, obviously the next appointment will be critical because they'll need to be able to work with Ralf, which is why I think Poch is a bit off the table now for you. I think Ten Hag has to be the one you go for style and for compatibility.
Edwin van der Sar's they've actually been a bit more vocal recently because they're constantly asked now because everyone knows, we're going to get a manager in the summer, unless Rangnick, I think he joked and said he might give himself the job, depending on how he does. But they've been a little more vocal recently about United rumours, which they haven't been in the past. So maybe I'd like to see them both in because but Van der Sar, I will say he deals with more financial stuff rather than direct.
Very intelligent guy as well. Got a lot of time for Van der Sar. I think what your best option is Ralf gets you fourth. The best way it goes. Ralf gets you fourth. You get a trophy. Any trophy. It does not matter what that trophy is. Doesn't matter, mate. Are you in both domestic cups still, or West Ham? Not you out of one.
No, they've both done us.
They've done us both, yeah.
That's both.
Yeah, both done us. Yeah, they've done us both.
West and Ham.
Yeah. Goddamn West and goddamn Ham. Yeah, so that's gone. But I think I don't know. I mean, fourth is enough, but I just think that if you can get a trophy or get to a final, I sound like Gary Neville now. Get to a final and just show your quality or whatever he'd say. No, fourth is enough, and it's then all about name your manager early. Finish the season, give it a few weeks after the Champions League final or whatever, and then you name your manager. This is the new manager. He's going to be in charge. He's going to work alongside Ralf in a consultancy role, and we're going to restore Man United to what they were. That's realistically how it. Not realistically. That's ideally how it goes for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if it doesn't, then you got a lot of players that I think will have Harry Kane syndrome, where they've missed their opportunity to really, be at one of the biggest clubs performing well. Like imagine all those Liverpool players that joined after Liverpool won the Champions League and were there for like 6 years after and just won nothing. Maybe an FA Cup or something, I don't know. They probably won a cup at some point around there. Against Chelsea, I think. I don't know, I can't remember. I try not to remember their victories. But a lot of people would have gone there and just felt like, wasted my time, Unless you love Liverpool, that's different. But if you're just a regular player who's gone there to do well, like all the Spurs players now, etc., etc. So I think that's why it's a really critical time for like a lot of your players, because you can't have another rebuild. You've got to have something that starts kicking on now, because you've got a very good squad. All you need is the organisation around it.
Yeah, absolutely. No excuses, really.
So should we do predictions for the weekend?
Yeah, sure. Hit me.
So 3-0 over Wolves, City. Wolves.
You're going to say 3-0?
I'm pretty confident. I think it'll be a difficult game, but I don't think it'll be easy to get 3-0, but I think we'll smother them in the same way we did West Ham. I think they'll cause temporary threat every now and then when they manage to get in behind and run at us. But
to be fair, factoring in, they were unlucky against Liverpool. They conceded in like 94th minute.
Yeah.
1-0 loss. That's
true.
not bad.
True. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, God, I'll say 2-0. 2-0. 2-0 City.
Thank you. Arsenal, Southampton.
Saints haven't been too bad. Kind of got their act together a little bit. 2 Arsenal. despite us getting it together. Yeah, 2-1 Arsenal.
I hope. I'm going to go with what I hope, and I'm going to go a draw. Because I just kind of like Arsenal now and then to just struggle. Chelsea, Leeds.
3-0 Chelsea.
I'm just going to go 5-0. Their injury crisis at Leeds is like Phillips is now out for 2 months, isn't he? Bamford's out again. Literally came back and then he's gone. Yeah. Calvin Phillips got a hamstring injury. Chelsea are out without Kovacic.
And I don't think they've got Kante either.
Kante and Schalver are both sidelined. Liam Cooper's absent. Rodrigo's still absent as well for Leeds. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go absolutely smashing 5-0. Honestly, I think it'll be really rough for Leeds. What did you say?
3-0. Chelsea.
3-0. Liverpool Villa.
Stevie G, that's Anfield.
Yeah, that'd be tasty, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Stevie G constantly fucking Liverpool out of Premier League titles.
I'm still. God almighty, imagine. 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, it. As much as I'd love it if they beat them. I'd love it. But no, just 3-0. I think Aston Villa will get smashed by Liverpool. Liverpool are too good at the moment. Far too good. Fair. For the likes of Villa. And then finally, Norwich United.
Now, I've made a running joke throughout this podcast that
I think 2-0 Norwich.
Premier League.
2-0 Norwich, I think.
For a second. Just going to ignore it for a second.
Let's put a bet on it, mate. 2-0.
So, I'm going to say 4-1 United.
4-1.
Yeah.
Who's getting your goals? Ronnie? 4 for Ronnie.
CR7. Yeah, 4 for Ronnie.
4 for Ronnie, okay.
4 for Ronnie, 1 for Pookie. How about that?
Yeah, probably. No, I'll just go standard 2-1.
Okay.
I don't think you've found your way yet. As much as I actually feel like I've been really complimentary to United this episode. But I'm just going to bring you back down to earth. You're not ready yet. I think you'll have moments in the game where, yeah, but you've been in just as much disarray as Norwich. You've just got way better players. Your team under Ollie at times this season have been in just as much disarray as Norwich. That's how bad it has been for you. And let's not forget that. These are the same players and they're learning a new system. So it's not going to be embarrassing. I'm not going to say you like that, but I just you could surprise. You could easily surprise. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see. Let's not say that.
We'll see after the predictions.
We'll always see. That's the world of predictions, mate. We'll always see.
You know, unless I die before the game, yeah.
Well, then I'll see, and I'll fucking when I die,
I'll be hot on your ass if we win 4-1.
Oh, my ass! Leave my ass alone.
Be hot on your bones.
It's getting very sexual. Yeah, I just think maybe giving Norwich a chance to score a goal is a bit much because they're a joke. They're actually a joke. I don't think you're ready to start carving teams up yet. Even teams like Norwich. I think they'll sit in really deep and then try to play football against you. I don't think they'll just be I don't think they'll be super duper expansive, but they'll definitely give you chances. It's just like if the chance falls to Ronnie, you're fine. Like if he gets 4 chances, he scores 3. Really, doesn't he? Usually, especially against a defense like Norwich. Like Norwich are terrible.
Yeah, although Dean Smith's already beaten us once this season.
Well, need him to start joining different clubs, don't we? Getting like 5 or 6 different jobs.
This absolute merry-go-round. Just snuff us out.
Just the next fixture. Jesus. Todd Cantwell's back.
Is he?
Mm.
And didn't even know he's out.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka's injured because he collided with advertising boards.
Yeah, we've got the most hazardous pitch in the Premier League. The most hazardous transfer to the advertising boards. Just a little slippy dip.
The most, yeah. I was going to say, because I thought you were going to say right back, not pitch.
Honestly, you'd have to do a little hike to take a corner. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Always hate that.
Saying that, Dean Smith. I'm just looking Norwich at bottom. Norwich on 10, Newcastle on 10, Burnley on 10. Oh my God. We'll look back at our predictions at some point because I'm pretty sure. I think I might have had Southampton in there as well, but all those because I might have thought Burnley would just somehow survive. And they've got 2 games in hand. To be fair, they could actually go 14th if they get 2 wins. But they need to pull their finger out because they don't have the quality to go on a run. They just have the stubbornness to not lose too many. So they've got to be really careful now. Because Norwich and Newcastle don't have that stubbornness. They're pretty tame. Norwich have conceded 23 goals. Sorry, negative 23. So they've conceded more than that. Like they're currently on minus 23 goal difference. Have a look how many goals they've actually conceded.
Jeez.
31.
Just saying, it's like Lemon Derby. Just stop coming up.
Yeah, literally put a ban on them. Who do you think? Quick couple of quizzes. Quick quiz with a couple of questions on the Premier League table.
Right.
Who do you think has conceded the least amount of goals, the fewest goals? There's 2 teams actually level.
Chelsea.
They both got 9. Chelsea's what?
Chelsea. Maybe it's someone left field like Brentford.
They've conceded 22. Calm down.
Ooh, okay. Wow. Not West Ham.
I'll give you a wild card though that have conceded that haven't conceded many, but it's not them. Wolves have only conceded 13.
Shit.
But they've only scored 12. So
How about? Is it Tottenham?
They've conceded 17.
Is it you?
Yes.
I didn't know it'd be too obvious. But,
conceded 9 with a goal difference of 23. I feel like this is an easy one, but who scored the most goals?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Who scored the fewest? That's easy as well, I think.
Norwich.
Yeah. And then that's all I've got for you. I don't have any more questions. No more questions. No more questions.
If you could steal us, that one. Cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, should be a decent little weekend of football, if not necessarily a great one. I don't think there's. I didn't have a look at Sunday, to be fair, but I'm not sure they're going to be super. Yeah, it's Burnley, West Ham, Leicester, Newcastle, Palace, Everton. It's and then there's some midweek games. Excellent. We've got Leeds. You've got Brentford. You're going to get smashed.
It's Tuesday night.
Tony. Yeah. There's constant. Oh my God, there's just constant games now, isn't there? So, right, we'll be back when we're back, I guess. Maybe Monday, maybe Sunday, maybe Saturday night, because all the important games will be done by then. So, literally, all of us, all the big teams play Saturday.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, City, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Keep going.
Villa.
All right. That's a pretty big club.
Yeah. I thought that. I thought, oh, I've got to get out here. But yeah, that's our catch up. Thanks for joining us at this A Cup Bonanza.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to call it? Is that what you're going to name the channel?
Probably not.
Probably not Bonanza.
Probably not a Bonanza episode.
No, we didn't go through that many games, thankfully, because I don't remember any of them.
No, I was going to do like a big piece on Fred, but I knew I'd just get resistance. So
good job you chose not to do that.
I'll judge him after the next game. Again.
If you try to extol any claims towards Fred being a new player or a revolutionary,
oh my God, it's like a new signing.
I believe there's a kick button on here for this little meeting. Yeah, remove from call, so that'll happen. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time.
Always. See you next time.
Ciao.